What's going on, y'all? My name is Sharif, if you're not familiar with me. And we're going to get right into it. Um, this is going to be one of my more deeper videos, little vulnerable. And if anybody has any comments or questions, respectfully, I invite you to reply. But it's about God's love. What is God's love? And I'm going to try not to ramble, but here's what made me think about it. And I'm that type of person that just be thinking about stuff. I'll see something and it'll make me think, and that can just be a huge rabbit trail in the depths of my mind if I allow it. And I was thinking about just some things maybe a couple weeks ago, and I think it was something I read in the Bible. Actually, you know how at the bottom they have the little commentary, and at the commentary it had said, and I believe it was in Proverbs, it said that God created us because He loves us, and the whole reason why He made us is to spend time with Him and to have a relationship with Him. That is the purpose of mankind and why we are here, and it's all about love. God is love. And if you look in, I forgot what chapter, what book, but it breaks down what love is. Love is patient, love is kind, it does not boast, it does rejoice in evil or in wrongdoing. It like all of those, like that whole list. If you want to know who God is, and I forgot what scripture, but there is a scripture that says God is love. And if you look at the list, that whole description breaks down who God is, the character of who God is, right? So, tomorrow's Father's Day. Happy early Father's Day. And so I was just thinking, what if you don't have a reference point for that? I've heard that said in churches, in messages sometimes. The pastor will say that, sometimes it can be hard for a person who it's hard for a person who didn't or doesn't have the best relationship with their father to see God as a loving father. And I get it. That makes so much sense. So if that's your situation, even if you know God is real and you believe God is who He says He is and God is love, and those two scriptures that I just said, even if you know it and you can believe it too, but if you don't have a reference point to from experience, you've never experienced it, what are you supposed to do with that? Because I think that so many times there are a lot of people in this world who have a mindset of, what is the purpose of having kids when this world is so jacked up? I've heard people say that. What is the point of anything? Because, people are so evil, or what is the point of doing something very specific? And it is a very pessimistic way to view life and to view the world. But those are legit questions, straight up. You know what I'm saying? I heard Kurt Cobain say that in an interview one time. Um, he had said, like, before he had his daughter, his mindset was, why would someone bring a child into this world? And, the earth's going to explode any day now and all of that. And he said, when you fall in love, you see things a little differently. If you don't know who Kurt Cobain is, you know how he ended. But again, if you are somebody, and I think he even had that same, if I remember correctly, I could be wrong, but I don't recall Kurt Cobain having a good relationship with his dad or his parents, for that matter. Hold on, let me skip this ad. Have some non-copyrighted music playing in the background, so this should not get stricken from the record. But I'm curious, because I think that there are some people in this world who sabotage themselves, who don't live life to the best of their ability, who don't live life to the fullest, who like keep themselves from experiencing life in the most positive way possible because they've never had a good reference point. They grew up in a bad environment, or they grew up in an environment where they were stifled, where they were always suppressed and oppressed and kept down. They weren't allowed to be who they wanted to be. And I'm not, I ain't talking about sexuality or nothing like that. I'm talking about their character and the way they thought. They were always, oh, you're too young to be saying that, or who do you think you are? You're too young to be speaking so confidently or so boldly or whatever. And you know what? That's a real thing. I think kids are smarter than we give them credit for. And I get it. They have a place. But if a kid is obviously kind of more advanced, or if a kid is displaying unwavering confidence in all this stuff, that can offend some people who are older than them. That's what bullies are. That's what bullies are. You get this kid who thinks that I'm bigger than you, so you should do what I say. And you got this kid that's younger than them and smaller than them that stands up to them and says, I don't care who you are, you can't tell me what to do because you're not my mom or your dad. But just because the bully is bigger than them, they'll push them down and they'll try to make them feel bad and all the stuff. And let that happen enough times in life, that kid can grow up thinking that about himself. Like, well, who am I to be thinking I could stand up to somebody? No one's going to listen to me anyway. And there you go. You have opened up another wave path, neural path in your brain to think that way. And it just increases as you get older. But that's a form of oppression and suppression. And so, to my point, what if you experience that when it comes to love and living life in a great way? If you grew up in an environment where your parents were always struggling, or your parents always said, oh no, you can't do this, you can't do this. Why? Because we can't afford it. Or why? Because that's just the way it is. Mommy, can I do this? No. Why? Because I said so. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, part of me does think that you can be trained subconsciously to have a bad self-image, to have a low opinion about yourself. And if you have a low opinion about yourself, you have a low value for yourself. And if you don't value yourself highly, you don't think you're worthy you don't think you deserve, or you're worthy enough to live a good, great life. You don't feel you're worthy to receive love in abundance. You don't really, even if you're a believer, you can know that scripture. Jesus came so we can have life and have it more abundantly. You can know that, but deep down, do you really feel that? Do you really believe that? And this is why that video I made not too long ago about fathers and mothers too, but fathers have, what's the word? The authority to affirm their children in a different way that boosts their confidence in their self-image. It's just like that because that's how God put it. So this is all very timely because Father's Day is tomorrow again. And this is why fathers are so important. It's important for moms and dads to do it to the kids, but specifically That's why a man is so important in a kid's life. A father figure, preferably the kid's actual father, a mentor, something. And this isn't a male bashing video, but this is all like tying in together. But it's a valid question. It's a valid question. If you did not grow up in a, even if you knew your parents loved you, you know what I'm saying? Like they cared if you died, they cared if you got sick. You know, they didn't want anything bad to happen to you, but that's about it. If you don't really, hold on. I really don't care about these ads. I know it helps the content creator, but I'm sorry. I'm pressing skip. But yeah, if you have no point of reference of what the fullness of love and the fullness of life and abundance really looks like, what are you supposed to do? We can hear scripture all day, but if we've never experienced it, if we've never had a point of reference being cultivated in it, then what? Who cares? And I don't say who cares in the context of like it's too late, but this is why applying the word is so important, especially if you have kids. And I'm going to be honest, and I'm going to try to cut this short because we already at 11 minutes. I think that's why a lot of people, Christians particularly, that's why they walk away from the faith, because you got all these Christian parents growing up and raising kids, going to church. They might even read the Bible at home, but they don't see it applied. They don't see what it's like to live in love and harmony and peace and forgiveness and getting along with each other. They don't. They don't know what it's like to live abundantly. That don't always necessarily mean money, but they don't know what it's like to live abundantly, even if you're broke, but still have joy and peace and love life. They have no idea what that look like. So, what is God's love? It's the scriptures that I just said, but how heavy does that hold if you've never really seen it or experienced it? Some food for thought. I love you guys. Subscribe, like, and comment. And if you're like me and you financially want to live in abundance, and you're willing to put the work in to get that done, feel free to give me an email. And if it makes sense, I'll show you or introduce you to the people who are showing me, my husband, how to do just that. All right. Love you.